Zurdo Ramirez versus David Benavidez on Cinco de Mayo weekend. As well as that, we've got an absolute belter here in the UK with Conah Walker versus Sam Eggington and a stacked card in Wolverhampton. All that good stuff today here on our second preview show of the week. If you haven't already, it was Nia Inoue talk earlier on in the week. If you haven't seen that, jump back and do that. But this time we're straight into the action with, to be honest, a fight I didn't think we'd see in Zurdo Ramirez, David Benavidez. It's one of those, the fight that no one asks for, but no one's complaining now we've got it.
It was a fight that probably no one saw coming because of the difference in weight, wasn't it, all the time? And yeah, now it's here. It is exciting. I think it's probably, if you ignore Inoue and Nakatani, this is probably the second best fight to watch this weekend. One thing that I was quite, the first time they faced off at the launch press conference, the one thing I was shocked about was the size difference. And I was thinking, when was the sort of last time Benavidez sort of looked up to an opponent and looked up and went, oh, was shocked? And I think he's had that realization here. And yeah, it's a phenomenal fight. And Zurdo is definitely going to challenge him in all different aspects that perhaps we haven't seen Benavidez be challenged before. But yeah, it's a phenomenal fight. And there's always something about this sort of Mexican weekend, the style that they have all the time. It used to be Canelo Alvarez. This year it's David Benavidez, Zurdo. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one because you talk a lot about people jumping up one weight, maybe sometimes even two for a fight, and you go, wow, that's a big risk. And then you add on to that it's that jump from light heavyweight to cruiserweight, which is a 25-pound weight limit jump from 175 to 200 pounds. That is a huge amount of weight to give up, or a huge amount of weight to put on in the time. And it's not been that long since his last fight at light heavyweight, so he hasn't had enough time to do that properly. You add into that then, it's Zurdo Ramirez, a 48-1 multiple weight champion whose only loss came to Dimitri Bivol, I think it was, at light heavyweight. Don't get me wrong, Zurdo's not in his own right a natural cruiserweight. Obviously he's come up from middleweight, but he has been at cruiserweight long enough now. He's beaten other top-level cruiserweights like Chris Billam-Smith. So all of that being said, you've got to say nothing other than David Benavidez is a complete nutter for accepting this fight. But I love it for him.
Do you think he sticks at the weight class now, though, that he's jumped up? Because if you look at light heavyweight, is there many options there for him in terms of what would be next? Or
there is one fight that I have to see, and it was interesting. I was putting some clips together for the channel recently and looking back at old stuff we did, and when I sat down with Ade in last summer and I said to him, what's one fight in boxing you'd want to make? Benavidez Bivol was the fight he came up with, and it was a fight that to that point I hadn't really thought too much about. Obviously Bivol had just come off the back of the Beterbiev fights, and he's now having a comeback fight. Bivol, if Benavidez got through Zurdo at cruiserweight, jumping back down to light heavyweight, or even taking on Bivol at cruiserweight, I think would be a great fight to watch. That is the one fight left at light heavyweight I think would be of interest to me.
I don't know.
That's the only worry, is whether they can get that fight on, but it would be a brilliant fight. But in terms of that jump up in weight, do you think is it going to be as much to make up, considering Zurdo, like you said, he's never been the biggest, but he has sort of grown out in that frame. But Benavidez, do you think that weight difference is going to have much of an impact in the fight?
Yes, I do. I really do. I think
there's no second day weigh-in for this, is there? No.
No, it's not an IBF world title.
Zurdo could, you talk about there's a difference of 20, 25 pounds he's coming up in. That could be the same on fight night.
Yeah, but Benavidez will also be...
Yes, also refuel, but
this hasn't
been at the weight, though, is it? He hasn't been that heavy for God
let's
knows
not be real.
long.
Benavidez isn't exactly a trim light heavyweight. He's come up to light heavyweight himself, and you wouldn't say he's in your sort of your Anthony Yard, your Ishmael Davis, your Anthony Joshua type physiques, and I'm not calling him out of shape by any means at all, but he's not trim at the weight, so 25 pounds is a huge amount. I think he'll really struggle with the weight, but it's the speed, isn't it? It's the speed and the volume of punches, which is in many ways Zurdo Ramirez's game. So I'm guessing if you're going for an out-and-out shootout of I can fire faster than you, I can land more than you, and then get out the way, then I think that's his only way he wins this fight. But you always leave yourself open to get caught with a big, like you say, 210, 215 pound shot, and then, you know, that's a big ask.
And I think another question is, what is Benavidez going to be like at this weight in terms of speed? You see sort of the combinations that he comes out with in some of the fights, and I think, what was it? His last fight was Anthony Yard at light heavyweight, and he got the stoppage that night. So what's he? You know, he's coming up considerable amounts of weight. You know, how much of that power is going to come with him? You know, or does that power get even greater and more dangerous? And Zurdo's going to have to be, you know, even more focused.
I think, having watched Benavidez, he doesn't have that same bang at light heavyweight that he had at super middleweight. He just has this, I mean, truly obscene hand speed for his weight, and the volume of punches. It's an accumulation effect. It's like a snowball coming down a mountain. It's just built and built and built. It gets faster, faster, harder, harder, and then, you know, sometimes people unravel. But
good way to get data snowball. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, sorry,
that's the design. But yeah, the fact that he does the speed, he doesn't have the power at light heavyweight really anymore, I don't think. So I think at cruiserweight, I don't think there's a world.
Was it that he didn't have the power, or the opposition that he was facing was at that level of?
Hey, I just think, you know, you look at the a sheer volume of punches that Anthony Yard took before the ref stepped in. He never put Anthony Yard flat out power like he used to be able to do. So, I mean, style, it's mental. I can't fathom why he's done it. I've got so much admiration for the fact he's done it. I'm glad he's done it because I think it's a really fun fight. But I can't see what he sees as a cruiserweight in his career.
Well, he obviously sees he can win. You know, as stupid as that sounds.
Do you think he believes he can outwork him? If he can take that consistent pressure and just the amount of punches he throws, if he can outland, and he might not have the power to get Zurdo out of there, but he could win it over the distance just by that continuous output.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. And I do think he outworks Zurdo as long as he's not put on those £25 via, you know, local fast food chains and you know, milkshakes or whatever. But I think he should have the 12-round engine and the speed to outdo Zurdo. But going 12 rounds with Zurdo Ramirez and saying I'm not going to get caught a couple times with some nice shots, I think is a big ask. And I think that's where, for me, Zurdo comes into this fight, is he doesn't need to land 100 punches around. He needs to land 20, and I think he will slow Benavidez down to the point where he could get him out of there late on.
I just look back to that performance as well from Zurdo's point of view against Bilal Smith.
Impressive.
So good that night. And yeah, it's so close, and it's like a new Nakatani, isn't it? There's so many different outcomes that could possibly happen here, but I think the longer it goes on, I think I favour Benavidez more.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think over time, I don't know. I think the thing with Zurdo is he's got the rounds in him, hasn't he, at cruiserweight? And,
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's a really intriguing fight, isn't it? It's so bizarre. It was like the last fight you would have expected to happen off the back of that Anthony Yard fight.
I was going to say earlier, I would expect to have seen Beterbiev Benavidez before this fight. You know, I wouldn't even have thought about this fight. So
I think the fact that we're seeing it, but there is no complaints about seeing it.
No,
I like it as a fight, and I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be one step too far for Benavidez. I hope not. If he can step up to cruiserweight and beat Zurdo Ramirez, then he has announced himself as one of the very best. He's already probably one of the more avoided fighters in the world.
Where is he in that conversation then of pound for pound? Is he Benavidez now? Is he 5th, 6th? And if Zurdo comes along and beats him,
I think if he wins on this weekend, it certainly bumps him up.
But I think if Benavidez beats Zurdo, it garners him more credit in the bank than if Zurdo beats Benavidez, because you say he's come up £25 to fight you. You should be beating him. Whereas if you've given up £25 against a world champion and still beaten them, that's when you go, fair play.
Ever since this fight was announced, I had one winner in my mind, and I've stuck with that, and I've still stuck with it now.
Which is?
in terms of, well, I'll give the
Save it to the end.
predictions later, but my mind hasn't changed since I've seen this fight announced.
I've done the complete opposite, I can tell you.
That's to be expected
Yeah,
from
to
you.
be expected, yeah. I got a bit too excited, see.
Yeah, you see one, you get excited. You see another, you flip flop more than the two of us.
Yeah, I just don't like getting splinters. So
I never get splinters.
Jaime Munguia back as well.
Yeah, against Jose Resendiz, who beat Caleb Plant in his last performance. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one with Jaime Munguia, isn't it? Because obviously first he lost to obviously Canelo, and everyone went, yeah, but who doesn't lose to Canelo? And
that was his sort of World Cup final where whatever happens, happens.
And then he lost to Bruno Saras in that first fight, and everyone was like, oh, hang on. You know, what's happened here? Upset of the year. Avenged said upset, but then came out the back of that fight with some adverse findings. The positive B sample, which then suggested that he had perhaps cheated. He was adamant he hadn't, and the WBC and VADA have cleared him of that, saying it was a contaminated test, I believe it was, or contaminated something with substances. So he's not been banned. That decision against Bruno Saras has been upheld. But that kind of stuff does
stain you.
It does taint it a little bit, and I think
it's hard to ever get rid of that sort of stigma then.
Yeah, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth, but
it's like anyone though. Miller last weekend threw, what was it, over 1,300 punches in that fight?
Yeah.
And the sort of alarm bells are going in your head then, aren't you? Thinking, oh, hang on, you know, the past history here. Ryan Garcia is another one where you look at him now and think, you don't look at them the same. And Lawrence Okoli could be in that boat. But it's the same with Jaime Munguia. You think you've taken something, you know what you've taken, and you've been found out.
You have to say that if they were able to, if whatever you believe, if he was able to prove that it was a contaminated substance, then you'd kind of have to say there's nothing. You can't call him guilty,
no,
because he's not. But like we say, it's that sort of
if you do it once,
the public opinion
is easily done a second time and then a third time and then a fourth time.
The public opinion is one thing, whether or not he is officially guilty or not. But either way, I think it will be an interesting fight to see the level, because you know, I think Caleb Plant, Jaime Munguia would have been an interesting fight levels wise, and obviously Resendiz got the better of Plant on that night. So from that point of view, you'd have to say it's going to be an interesting sort of match up as a fight, but maybe not one to stay up for the British boxing fans amongst us.
I don't know, because
I was sorry, just looking at the investigation results into that Munguia test, and they said that the levels detected were described as extremely low and deemed not to provide any performance advantages.
There we
In
go.
terms of what they found in his system in both the A and B samples.
So there was evidence of the
And
substance in his
evidence of
system,
accidental contamination.
yeah, it wasn't. And you know, whether that's the case or not, you know, I think
We'll see what happens Saturday night.
yeah, it's easy to be cynical or not.
Because
But
I'm not being funny now, though. If he has a phenomenal performance where he gets a knockout, a stoppage, everyone's going to go, okay, but let's wait. Let's see in a couple of days' time, actually, if this result stands. That's the worst thing. And boxers are so many boxers now are in that position where they're failing drug tests. And then us as fans, as you know, people that cover the sport, it's like when you see a fighter have a really dominant performance, you go,
yeah, it's a frustrating thing to have hungover.
yeah.
It does ruin it a bit. I'll give you the antidote to that. Conah Walker versus Sam Eggington. It's the fight that, you know,
That's just going to get you high on the level.
I think I saw it being there was a bit of talk back and forth on Twitter, and everyone was saying, "Oh, this is a belter," and then, you know, little do we know, 2 days later the fight's been announced. It's got a venue, it's got an arena, it's got an undercard. This whole card from Matchroom, albeit maybe not, you know, it's nothing that anyone sort of stateside is going to be writing home about. For us British boxing fans, this is it's a little domestic cracker, isn't it?
Oh, I can't wait. The atmosphere is going to be amazing in there as well. 2 local fighters topping the bill, and not just with the main event as well. There's a few decent fights on the undercard with Fawaz on there as well. Conway and Jeff as a good fight. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and you've obviously got Conah Walker going into it as well in what you'd have to say is the form of his career.
But is this a step too far against Eggington?
I don't think so.
No.
I think he's.
feel like this is an easier fight for
I was going to say than Pat
him than
McCormack.
Pat McCormack.
I think this is a little step back in that sense.
Or probably Harry Scarf as well.
But-
I think Sam Eggington's going to do well in this fight.
I think he'll do well.
I think there's people are overlooking him, and I'm not being funny. Who was he gonna fight? Conah Walker was in line for.
They were calling
Lewis Crocker,
They were
wasn't
calling for Lewis Crocker after the Lewis
And
Crocker.
the worst thing you can do now is
Paro fight was cancelled, wasn't it?
the worst thing you can do now is go, right, that world titles fight's no longer going to go, right, who am I going to fight now before I can get that title shot? You wouldn't have picked Sam Eggington. Because Sam Eggington's at that point in his career
He's come
now,
off a good win against Lee Cutler.
that's the fight I'm going off. That's the fight I'm reading into going,
It wasn't a great Lee Cutler that night, though. And he had
No,
that
and
bad-
I feel Conor Walker's got that confidence, and off the back of the performances against Lewis Crocker, where he came on strong, and then obviously we've seen what Lewis Crocker's done. Harry Scarf, that comeback out of nowhere. Pat McCormack, he just steamrolled him. I think Sam Eggington will be a very, very up for it opponent. Be very exciting fight to watch. But Conor Walker's got too much quality, I think. I think Sam Eggington...
He just seems to be getting better, doesn't he, with each fight. And
Sam Eggington is a potential banana skin for many people.
He can absorb the punches.
For
off
many
him.
people, but I don't think so for Conor Walker.
Okay. I'm gonna have to.
it's just that consistent pressure, I think, is just some fighters. It's just so hard to deal with that consistent output. And we've seen that with the last fight against McCormack. It was just someone so highly skilled in McCormack with such a decorated amateur background.
Good finish as
Couldn't
well, might
keep
win
up
it.
with that.
If you want to get a
pace.
finish, you want to get that in the 12th round of probably the biggest fight of your career. Which is
there was
incredible.
there was a great performance and a great fight from those two. That was in Monaco, wasn't it? That one.
Bilal
But-
Fawaz, mine.
That's what I was going to
Talk
say.
about stories in boxing at the moment.
And I think this is a really smart fight in terms of this one against Ryan Kelly, because you come off the back of the Junaid Boston upsets, I suppose, permanently. I think he won that first fight and deserved it, then won that second one. And then Ishmael Davis, it felt like was almost in many ways a bit of a sort of roll of the dice, a win-win situation for him. And then he won the fight, and now he's the British and Commonwealth champion, and you say, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
The natural reaction to that, I think, would be, he's the British champion. He's just beaten two opponents you expect him to lose to. Let's jump him up another level and let's send him to roll the dice. And I think that dice roll comes. But to just take a moment to settle, defend that British title against Ryan Kelly, against someone I think you'd have to say is a good operator, but maybe not a jump up from Ishmael Davis, perhaps a slight step down from Ishmael Davis.
Possibly.
That
but
Ishmael Davis fight was,
I think that's a really clever bit of promotional.
It's
Just
clever match.
keep him busy, get him back in the groove, get him winning fights comfortably. He's been in three back-to-back really close decisions. Just get him to win a fight comfortably before you think about rolling that dice once again and jumping up a level.
It's a bit like that main event, though, I think, with Fawaz. You cannot overlook Ryan Kelly.
No,
He's that sort of fighter where if you're not on it...
I think Fawaz he seems to perform better as well when he feels like he's got something to prove.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like with the Boston fights, especially the second one.
Or even against Davis.
Even with Ishmael Davis. Because he was behind, I felt, with the Ishmael Davis fight. But that, again, it comes back to that sort of consistent pressure. Almost burnt Davis out towards the end, and Fawaz took over the back end of the fight and nicked it. I think he only won it by a round on the scorecard, so it was close, but a really good story. And yeah, it'd be good if he can get a win this weekend now to see where they push him on to next, how far they can push him in terms of how far he can go beyond the British title.
Yeah. Do you think he's got another jump in him?
Why are you asking me that question? Josh Padley. Remember what I said about that?
Wow,
He could be a world
get
champion.
excited.
Listen, I think
Domestically, there's not many
Oh my
massive...
God. Sorry, my Siri's going crazy, my bad.
There's domestically, the only other one is Josh Kelly. Like whether they'd give him some sort of shot to Josh Kelly, which I don't think would happen.
Yeah, it's a big jump. But I just think
he deserves it, mine, because I'm not being funny. That, like I said, the story that he's got about the passport situation and citizenship here in the UK is unbelievable. And he's a British champion.
Yeah.
You know, and perhaps hasn't got the recognition, and he's starting to get that now. And it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts to that, and people supporting him and all. He's no longer the away fighter, as to say. And yes, listen, the card on Saturday is cracking. Kieran Conway, Mark Jeffers is the sort of fight where you go, whoever loses that, I think you call it a day. And especially for, you got to feel for Mark Jeffers in a way, because what was it? He won, he was waiting for the European title fight,
which is Callum Simpson, who is managed
but
by
even
the same.
before that, before he won that fight, because he won that the same night that he lost to Sean Hemphill up in Barnsley, wasn't it?
No, so he beat. You might be right. No, because what it was obviously Jeffers beat Zach Chelly for the English title, and then Zach Chelly fought Callum Simpson for the British and Commonwealth.
Yeah,
and then you thought, well, hang on, Jeffers has beaten him for a lower title.
He was on the undercard as well.
And Jeffers was on the undercard of that one, and that was a bit of a frustration for him. And he's been waiting and waiting in the wings for a while, and then he had that upset loss. And
Hempel.
then it just feels a little bit like the...
then he fought Willie Hutchinson, where you go, right, okay, this is interesting. And then he loses again. And then he's in a position now on Saturday night where both men can't afford to lose. And it makes for a cracking watch. 10 rounds.
A good fight.
I'm not being funny. As soon as that first bell goes, there's no feeling out process of, right, let's get our range and all that. They're getting down to work very quickly. And I think that's going to be the theme of the night. I think there's this night in Wolverhampton has got action packed written all over it. Tiah-Mai Ayton as well.
Yeah.
She's in perhaps the toughest test.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Junaid Boston's on the card.
Yeah, Junaid Boston's on his comeback. There might be a bit of afters with him and Fawaz again, but I think
trilogy.
Yeah, the Tiah-Mai and Stevie Levy is a good next step fight, and we'll talk about that. But I wanted to just jump back to Fawaz, because we were talking about Ishmael Davis. But obviously, we were talking about Josh Kelly, but then Ishmael Davis gave Josh Kelly a real scare.
Yeah.
That end of that fight, it was not far off. And I think, albeit I'm not saying for a minute, I think that Bilal Fawaz could turn up and turn over Josh Kelly. I think that's a huge, huge ask. But you'd have to say, with the tank he showed against Ishmael Davis, the better boxing ability he showed than Ishmael Davis, he'd have a better shot at it. And Josh Kelly just seems to not be able to put together a 12-round performance. And I think
he did in that last fight.
In his last fight, that was probably the best.
That was the best.
That was the best he fought, but so many times...
I don't think Fawaz would get that.
I don't think he would.
Kevin Agyarko would be a good fight for
someone
Bilal
another
Fawaz.
fighter who's beaten Ryan Kelly. Kevin Agyarko, good fighter, and just missed out on...
Fawaz and Agyarko.
Missed out on a fight,
go for
he?
next.
No, I understand what you mean with Josh Kelly, man. He's the sort of fighter where he had the potential but never reached it, and then he had that fight in Newcastle or wherever it was. Well, hopefully
Sunderland, I think it was.
Sunderland.
And he won, and it's like, oh, finally. So who knows?
Yeah, he had Josh Kelly had it was the Avanesian fight, was it? The first time he fought. Was that a European title? And when he got stopped, that was during, was it the COVID when they were doing them in Eddie
Earn's backyard?
I'm sure it
would. I can't remember, to be honest.
I'm sure it would have been in there, surely.
Yeah, I'm sure it
might have been in Wembley, mind, in the Wembley Arena, because they moved, didn't they?
No, I'm sure he fought him.
No, in the backyard. Probably in Wembley Arena, surely.
I can't remember, to be honest.
I need to find out now.
I wasn't watching a huge amount of boxing in COVID. I don't know why. I was just too busy playing Fortnite or something. I don't know what I was doing.
I swear it was Wembley for
Josh Kelly.
Here we go. We'll have to find out.
David Avanesian. I can't find it now.
Can't even find the fight.
It was for the European title. You might be right. It might have been Wembley Arena.
That's right. I'll find it now for you. But yeah, like I was saying, he does sometimes.
I think you're right. Actually, Wembley Arena.
He does sometimes falter in the. He does sometimes falter in the latter rounds when he has that continued pressure, Josh Kelly, and I think. That's what it looked like that was happening in that fight, wasn't
exactly,
it? Yeah. And so it would be a good watch. I'm not for a minute saying I think Bilal Fawaz could turn up and turn over Josh Kelly and win a world title, and but I think when you look at the performance Ishmael Davis put in against him and styles make fights, I think it could be it could at least be an interesting watch, but not just yet. But to go back to, like you said, Tiah-Mai and Stevie Levy, it is the test of her career so far. It's a test you would hope, maybe expect her to get through if she's going to be the fighter that it appears she's going to become, but it's another great step. You know, it puts her well towards the very top in Britain in her division, and probably well in line to look to maybe pick up a British title very soon.
And she's been moving nicely, hasn't she? Since turning over as a pro, you know, May Ayton is. I feel like with so many prospects coming up, they take their time, and you know, some go slowly, some go really quickly, and then get found out. I think May Ayton is moving at the perfect speed, and the sort of step up in opponent she's having is only benefiting her. And yeah, Stevie Levy, I think for as long as she's in there, we'll ask questions of her, but it's only I think with Tiah-Mai Ayton, when you watch it, it's only a matter of time where the fight finishes.
Yeah, I think they'll aim to get a British title for her soon.
I was going to say she had a difficult performance in her last fight against Catherine Ramos. I think it went to the 1 round in it over the 8-rounder. But if you are a young fighter and you've had an 8-rounder against an inexperienced pro, then the expectation is that in your next fight you will have improved beyond that. You would have learnt stuff from that to carry on. So yeah, I do think it will be, like you say, a case of, for as long as Levy's in there for, she will ask questions of Tia, and she's been there with lots and lots of professionals. She's had lots of rounds, so she will ask lots of questions. But I do think it is a matter of when Tia finds the right shot to end that fight. But like you say, the British title down the line would be a great fight to have, I think, for her. I think it would make a huge amount of sense. Eddie Hearn put out on Instagram not too long ago that she'll be headlining in Bristol in 2027.
With the new arena, isn't it? Will be built by
I don't
then?
know, actually. But they said she'd be headlining in Bristol in 2027, and I think...
Is there any big... There's no big arena in Bristol, though, is there?
Not off the top of my head, but you've got the cricket ground, you've got the Bristol Rovers. She's a Bristol City fan, and they did have her attending at Ashton Gate. I think that might be a little bit too soon. That would have to be a...
It's a bit like Coventry, where they got like a little big like hangar connected to it, maybe, that they could have.
Not that I'm aware of, but you know, there is
pre-match entertainment. Then
there is lots of.
She can't go in the gallery, surely.
No, exactly. You can't stick her in a car park underneath a shopping centre, by any means. But you know, there are fighters at that level. I think Ticey Gallagher's just coming back from an injury. I think that would be maybe a big ask straight away. But then beyond that, when you're looking at it, there's not really anyone in and around her weight class that... actually, Ticey Gallagher's up at super bantam, isn't she, as opposed to bantamweight? But there is...
It's only a matter of time, though, isn't it, where you go, right, is there any fights around her? Is there any marketable fights? If not, move up, and it'll come. But yeah, I expect it to... Perhaps it is definitely her toughest fight on Saturday night, so she can't overlook Stevie Levy, because I think she win... Didn't you interview her after a win up on a top tier show? So
I did, yeah.
She is winning.
Yeah.
Still, she knows. So
no, she's still got good fights in her. I think bantamweight. That was what I was looking at. There's 2 fights at bantamweight that I think make the most sense for me. One being Laura Payne, and the second being Megan Redstall, who just won the Commonwealth on a top tier show
from around.
And I think we've mentioned it before, but it's a kind of southwest, a bit of a derby. I think that would make a lot of sense. I think you could probably get that for a British title. I don't know off the top of my head if that belt is free or if it's tied up. I don't believe it is. But
I wouldn't have thought it was.
I believe that. I think that would be a good fight. And I think it's getting to the point now, if you're winning 8-rounders, if you're knocking people out that have put in good performances against someone like Fran Hennessy, that eventually you are going to have to roll that dice. You can't wait forever.
I think that's an added benefit to Tiah-Mai Ayton as well, is the fact that she got that sort of knockout power, and the ability to stop fights, will draw in more of an interest from a casual boxing audience to watch her, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And being under the Matchroom banner makes a huge amount of difference. I think, unfortunately, people aren't necessarily too inclined to go out of their way to find the female fights. They don't necessarily go searching for these fights, but when they appear on an undercard of a fight like this one, which is well worth watching, then people tend to pay attention and tend to take note. And I think that's the best thing you can do. And if you can get a headline on DAZN early in 2027, at I think that'd be 20 years of age. That's not bad going.
It's
phenomenal. The world is your oyster at that point.
It's phenomenal, but sickening at the same time that a 20-year-old is going to be headlining.
Yeah. I was working in a pub at 20.
Yeah.
I hadn't even enrolled on this uni course at 20 years of age yet. God knows what Ben was doing. I don't think
Can't even remember.
they weren't even taking official records when you turned 20. So, there's no evidence of what you were doing,
When
fortunately.
you were talking, I went.
But yeah, that's a belter of a card, isn't it? This kind of just snuck up on us. Like it went under the radar because it was announced with not
just
that
felt
much.
like they just put
Because of how
the
much
card together
boxing's
and
on.
ready to go.
In May is probably the month for boxing this year so far.
Oh, definitely.
Wardley Dubois next week. You got Dave Allen, Philip Pergovic at Doncaster Football Stadium. Oh, it's going to be
you've got
brilliant. You've got
Usyk Verhoeven.
Yes, yeah.
Keyshawn Davis, I believe, is back fighting.
Yeah, that was
Angelo
announced.
Leo is
Yeah.
fighting this month. You've got, I'm just trying to think of any more champions. I believe Raymond Ford versus Oshaki
Shaki
Foster
Foster.
falls in the month of May.
Is it?
I believe
I
so.
thought it was June.
So, or if it is, it's early June.
Yeah.
But, that month we've got
It
is
is
magic.
mental as well that we're in May already. And June's around.
Yes. Is it? I don't know my months, my days.
May's
When's this coming out? On Thursday?
Thursday. So I think
30th.
tomorrow's May then.
Tomorrow is May.
Wow.
Friday's May 1st.
Yeah, there we go. That is crazy. The world, the years are slipping by, as I'm sure you're well aware of, Ben.
Yeah, I've had too many already.
Let's do some predictions.
I thought you were going to forget.
I never forget
No.
predictions. I love the predictions. David Benavidez, Zurdo Ramirez. That's a really hard fight to put a prediction on, I think. I know you said you've got yours. I've got mine. So, Harry, we are going to kick off with you.
What?
What is
so the one that
your-
takes the longest? I've just literally shut my phone. David Benavidez points decision.
I think Zurdo stops him.
That was my
Interesting.
original. That's when this fight was first announced. That's what I went for. But from
Mr. I don't want splinters, just backing it
Yeah.
off. Just to put that one in
No,
there in
but
case you get it
from-
wrong.
From the more I've seen and more I've thought about it, I'm going, yeah, I think Benavidez is. He's definitely he is special. He's a very talented boxer. He's probably for me in the top 5 or top 6 pound for pound at the moment. And a win here could, I don't know, could escalate him even further. But I think he gets the point decision win.
I think he's going to have to try and just throw with Zurdo. I think that's the only way you can beat him is by out-throwing him, throwing with him, throwing in between punches, in between flurries at the speed and the pace he does. But I don't see him shifting Zurdo, and I think to do that for a full 12 rounds with Zurdo Ramirez is too much of an ask. I think Zurdo will eventually find the right shots to slow him down and then put him out there in the mid to late rounds.
Mine is similar to earlier in the week. Benavidez wide points decision, but in a
Wow.
close fight.
I like it.
So I think that rounds will be close, but I think Benavidez will pick most of them up with his consistent work rate.
Yeah, I'm still worried about, like you say, that sort of size difference and that weight and the power. And you particularly look at the way Chris Billum-Smith's not a big cruiserweight, and Zurdo steamrolled him that night. It looked like looks like a cruiserweight versus a light heavyweight, or a cruiserweight versus a super middleweight, in the way that physically Zurdo overpowered Billum-Smith. And I do think there's a world where Benavidez wins, like you say, where he's in all of those rounds. But I do worry if enough of those cruiserweight power shots land that he might unravel a little bit, lose his shape a little bit, and then if you're trying to throw that volume of punches, once these elbows start flaring, once that shape loses a little bit, I think that's where Zurdo can find the right shot to hurt him. Body work early, headshot finish in the mid
I
to
just
late
don't
rounds.
think he would have jumped up unless he was confident enough to deal with that power.
I think he will be confident enough, but
I
It's a
suppose
big-
there's a difference between being
What-
confident
yeah.
enough and being able to take
Once
it
he
as
gets
well.
hit with that first punch, then we'll find out if he's confident.
yeah, I don't know. They're £25. It's a lot. It is a hell of a lot.
I just think he's a
But the thing is,
special fighter.
plus the rehydration, all of that as well, refueling afterwards.
Yeah, it's not going to be 25
Yeah.
good pounds that Benavidez is going to have put on. I'm sure he'll be having he'll be eating a full dinner
yeah.
night before
And more.
weigh-ins. He's not going to be, cutting it fine at the weight, whereas Zurdo is going to be having that. I think it's a big ask. Don't get me wrong. If he does it, I'm more than happy to sit here next week and eat my words and say he's made me look daft there. And I hope he does. I think it would be an unbelievable achievement. but I just don't quite see it happening.
I think we'll be sat here next week building Benavidez Bivol.
I hope to see it.
And
I think
heavyweight or
I think regardless if he
back to light
loses,
heavyweight.
regardless if he loses against Zurdo or beats him, I think that's the fight to make, because it's the only fight of intrigue left.
I suppose
at
it
light
doesn't
heavyweight.
dent him too much if he does lose it, but I think he wins.
I look forward to it. Do we agree with Ade then? Past Ade that Bivol Bivol, such a tongue twister because of Beterbiev. Bivol Benavidez is the best fight to make in that division. Is the fight to make? He said it's the one fight he wants to make in boxing.
At light heavyweight.
If they can't get Bivol Beterbiev, the trilogy, then yeah.
But I think Bivol Benavidez is a more intriguing. I've seen Bivol beat Beterbiev twice with my own eyes. I know he didn't do so on the scorecards, but I know what my eyes seen. Bivol beat Beterbiev twice. So show me something different.
1-1. You're sounding a bit like Tyson Fury.
It wasn't 1-1. Bivol won that first fight narrowly.
Yeah.
And then didn't get the decision, went away and went, oh, okay, is this what I need to do to actually show the judges I won the fight as well? Did it and won so in impressive fashion. I did so in a really cool, shiny silver fight kit. I just love that. I love that fight kit from Bivol. I think it was class. I don't know why.
What about Walker and Eggington?
I've said I think Walker stops him mid to late rounds. I think I've said this before with fighters. I think sometimes against some opponents, bravery can be your worst enemy. And I think Eggington will be brave. Eggington will be game. Eggington won't be worried enough about what's coming towards him, and Conah Walker will hurt him thus.
I think Sam Eggington's going to win on points.
Wow.
I like Sam Eggington. He's one of my favourites.
I do like him. I do like him, but
he's when I started watching boxing, I think, when was it, 2011, when I started getting into it, he was probably one of the first fighters I saw, and he got knocked out by some fighter. I can't remember where he was from, and he was like in the second round. And then from there on, I'm like, oh, let's see how he gets on in his career now.
that's a mental. Oh, I watched him get knocked out, and then I was like, oh, I want to fight.
I want to follow him and see how he gets on. And then our Ted Cheeseman, he lost that fight, but yeah, he's just a good
Abbas
fighter.
Barao, he lost as well. He's one of those.
I don't think he gets stopped.
Unfortunately,
I'll be very
he's
shocked
lost
if he.
most of the fights he's really stepped up in. But he is undoubtedly a top
I'll be
domestic
shocked
level
if he
fighter.
gets stopped though, Eggington.
2018, I think that fight is you're on about.
I was going to say 2011 seems you were what?
2011, yeah, I wasn't when 11 years ago then. Sorry, not 2011. 2018, yeah.
That's Aquino from Tanzania.
Yes,
There you
that's
go.
it. Yeah,
There you
the
go.
main evented that
Stopped
night as
him
well.
in the second round.
There we
Scary
go.
knockout.
Fair enough. If anyone's still listening or watching on YouTube, let us know who you think is going to win between Zurdo Ramirez and Benavidez. Do you agree with me, or do you agree with Ben, or do you agree with Harry as the third option? I forgot which way you went there for a second.
Benavidez.
Do you agree with me, or do you agree with those two? There we go.
Benavidez points.
As always, if you would like to watch the purely audio version, which once again we don't blame you for, is on Spotify. Otherwise, obviously subscribe here on YouTube for 2 podcasts every single week. We'll be reviewing the pick of the fights from this weekend next week, as well as previewing Daniel Dubois, Fabio Wardley, an all British world heavyweight title fight. That is
Phenomenal.
You know, those don't come around every day. So we're looking forward to that one. Don't blink, as Queensbury are telling you. Not great advice for your eye hygiene, but good for your viewing pleasure. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you all next week.
Punches chance. Punches Chance Podcast.